My high school crush, the one I hadn't spoken to in 7 years, was now an A-list celebrity, and she had just sent me a text. "Can you lend me some money?" I stared at the message, and without a second thought, I zelled her the last of my savings, a little over $30,000. The next second, an unknown number called. A crisp, automated female voice came through the speaker. "This is a message from the Fraud Prevention Center." My head buzzed. It was over. I'd fallen for one of those celebrity impersonation scams they warn you about. Just as my heart sank into a pit of despair, a voice I knew down to my bones, sweet, with a hint of exasperated affection, cut through the automated message. "Liam Foster, after all these years, how are you still such a goof?" I couldn't believe it when the text came through. "Can you lend me some money? Account number is 622XXXX. The message was from a contact named the most beautiful Ava Vance in the world. I hesitated for only a moment before transferring every cent in my bank account. $32, $626. I figured Ava must be in real trouble. Otherwise, why would she contact me? Did she go bankrupt, get blacklisted by the studios? Was she kidnapped? My mind raced with a dozen wild possibilities. Seconds later, my phone rang, an unknown number flashing on the screen. A knot of anxiety tightened in my stomach. It had been 7 years since graduation, 7 years of silence. I had no idea what to say or how to feel. The ringing persisted. I took a deep breath and hit accept. "Ava, this is a message from the Fraud Prevention Center," the automated voice began. "Scammers use countless evolving tactics. To protect yourself, remember the don't click, don't trust rule. Don't click on unknown links, don't trust unsolicited calls. I've been scammed. Son of a bitch. That was my life savings. Mr. Foster, have you understood the information provided?" the automated voice asked. Stunned, I managed to reply, "Yes, I got it. For verification, please repeat the rule." I froze, scratching my head in embarrassment. I seem to have forgotten it already. Did they really expect me to recite it on the spot? "It's okay, he's just a little slow," a familiar voice suddenly interjected, laced with a fond sigh. It was Ava. Her sweet voice floated through the phone, and I was suddenly so flustered and nervous I couldn't think of a single thing to say. "You sent me all your money. Won't your sister be mad?" Ava asked, her tone light and teasing. The first thing that popped in my head was, "Then give it back." She laughed softly. "Okay, I'm in the middle of filming a show. I'll call you back." Right before she hung up, her bright voice added one more thing. "I'll send the money back in a bit. Just wanted to give you a little fraud awareness demonstration first." My face darkened. Before I could process anything, a notification from my bank app lit up the screen. "Ava Vance has sent you a Zelle payment of $5, 200, 000. I stared at the long string of zeros until my vision blurred. I rubbed my eyes, counted them again, then pinched myself hard. It hurt. I wasn't dreaming. $5.2 million. I remember that summer 7 years ago when I'd loaned Ava $520. She joked that when she made it big, she'd pay me back $5.2 million. I never thought she was serious, but she had kept her promise. For her, it might be a drop in the bucket, but for an office drone like me, making a salary where my daily coffee felt like a luxury, it was an astronomical sum. This mountain of cash suddenly felt like a hot potato in my hands. I immediately called my best friend, Chris. He answered, his voice cracking with excitement. "Dude, so that goof was you? How come you never told me you knew Ava Vance? What are you talking about?" I was completely lost. Chris immediately sent me a link to a trending topic on Twitter. Hashtag Ava Vance borrows money. I clicked on the video replay. It was from a TV special where Ava and a few other celebrities were promoting fraud awareness. During one segment, the host challenged them to play the part of a scammer, but try to borrow money from the first contact in their phone. Ava had typed out that exact message. "Can you lend me some money? Account number XXXX. The other guests laughed at her, saying that if anyone actually fell for that, they had to be a complete idiot. Then, Ava sent the text to the very first contact in her phone, a contact saved under the name Goof. The next thing I saw on the screen was a screenshot of my Zelle transfer confirmation. The studio audience erupted in laughter. "It really is an idiot," someone shouted. Another guest joked, "She only got 30 grand out of him. Guess you're not that popular, Ava." Only Ava wasn't laughing. Her eyes welled up as she whispered, "After all these years, he's still such a goof." The video then cut to the clip of me getting the Fraud Prevention Center call. I scrolled down to the comments, and a few of the top replies made my skin crawl. Who is this Liam Foster guy? And why is he number one of my Queen's contacts? That nickname Goof is everything. It's so affectionate and exasperated. There's got to be a story there. 30 grand. What if that was all the money he had? This Liam guy is 100% in love with her. That's the only explanation for falling for such a basic scam. Your IQ just drops to 0 when you're around someone you like. I never imagined that one day my name would be linked with Ava Vance's in the celebrity gossip cycle. The truth is, Ava and I were nothing more than ordinary high school classmates. Back then, she sat in the front row, and I sat in the last. We were on opposite corners of the classroom map. She was the English class representative, and whenever she came around to collect homework, I was usually goofing off with the other slackers in the back. The sentence she said to me most often was, "Liam, your homework." I'd always reply with a lazy drawl, "Didn't do it." She'd blush and press, "Well, do it now." And I, with a smirk, would lean back and jerk my chin at her. "Let me copy yours." She was always too shy to look me in the eye. She'd just drop her notebook on my desk, turn, and walk away, followed by a chorus of whistles from the guys. "Whoa, look at our class rep blushing. You got a thing for Liam." I'd always shut them down with an annoyed, "Shut up, guys. Don't be idiots." I have no idea why she saved my name as Goof back then. I wasn't that dumb. As I was lost in thought, Chris's loud voice boomed from the phone again. 5.2 million. What are you waiting for? Slap that resignation letter on your boss's desk. You're a self-made man now. Who needs to slave away for chump change? Liam, my man, when you're rolling in it, don't forget your old pal. Let me kiss the ring. I rubbed my temples, my head still spinning. Just then, my screen lit up. It was a call from Ava. I took a deep breath and answered. Liam, her voice was as beautiful as I remembered. "Are you free to get together today? I can after work." "Great. I'll wait for you." After we hung up, she texted me an address. It was a private, incredibly high-end restaurant. I had to give her this sudden fortune back, and I had to do it in person. The rest of the afternoon, my mind was elsewhere. It was just a high school reunion, technically, but she was a massive star now. I felt the kind of nervous energy you get before meeting an online date for the first time, each second crawling by. To kill time, I found myself chatting with Chris again. "Okay, spill. Was there something going on between you two back in the day?" His gossip dar was on high alert. "Seriously, no. We were just classmates. I loaned her $520 once." "Liam, you're such a hopeless romantic. You loaned her money back then, and now she says she's broke, and you liquidate your entire life savings for her. And you expect me to believe there's nothing between you? Please. Even a ghost wouldn't believe that. Anyway, first things first, give me a few autographs." She's my idol. Did I have a crush on Ava back then? I guess I did. A lot of guys in our class had a crush on Ava. She was vibrant and beautiful, with a radiant personality. She played the piano and had a lovely singing voice. In the innocent world of high school, a girl like that was bound to shine. Her desk was always overflowing with colorful, clumsy love letters. My crush, on the other hand, was a silent, invisible thing. Back then, I was completely unremarkable. I had acne, a dorky bowl cut, and the quiet disposition of a kid from a small town in Ohio who'd just moved to the big city. Whenever I saw her by the athletic fields, I couldn't even bring myself to say hi. The word was a mountain I couldn't dare to climb. Our main interaction was the homework handoff. She would collect the notebooks from the front of the class to the back, finally dropping the heavy stack on my desk. Then I would carry them for her to the teacher's office. Afterward, she'd pull a few pieces of chocolate from her school uniform pocket, press them into my hand, and say coolly, "Can't finish these. You take them." Then she'd turn and leave. A lot of guys had heard she liked chocolate and would secretly stuff her desk with it. So she'd often unload a few pieces on me after I helped her, as a kind of thank you. High school flew by. On the last day of school, everyone was frantically taking pictures, trying to capture the last moments of their youth. The air was filled with the sounds of awkward, heartfelt confessions shouted across the quad. But I never worked up the courage to tell Ava how I felt. I didn't even have the guts to ask her for a photo. The only picture we have together is the official graduation class photo. My one secret victory was that I managed to stand directly behind her. The final scene of my high school life was Ava seeking me out. "Hey, Liam, let me get your number." Just like that, we exchanged numbers. She saw that I had saved her name simply as Ava Vance, so she playfully snatched my phone and edited it herself to the most beautiful Ava Vance in the world. I couldn't help but smile at the memory. "You have a nice smile," she had teased. I blushed, embarrassed. She curved her lips into a grin and continued. "Liam, there's this singing competition I signed up for, but I don't have the money for the bus ticket to get to the audition. Could you lend me some?" I immediately pulled out my wallet and handed her all the cash I had. It was exactly $5.20. "Thanks." She waved the bills in front of my face. "When I'm famous, I'll pay you back $5. 2 million. I laughed again. "Sure." She stood there in the summer sun, giving me a huge wave, her smile impossibly bright. "Seriously, Liam, you have a great smile. You should do it more often." That singing competition became the hit of the summer. Ava rose through the ranks and ended up winning the whole thing. In a single, sun-drenched season, she became a star. After the finale, I got a text from her. "Did you watch?" I replied, "Congratulations." We didn't talk for a long time after that. Then one night, in the early hours of the morning, I received one last text from her. "I will pay you back. Liam, I hope you have a great life." I texted back, "You too, Ava. I hope you have a great life." And with that, we completely lost touch. We never saw each other again. But I still saw her all the time. On TMZ, on late-night talk shows, on the massive digital billboards in Times Square, and I heard her familiar voice drifting out of stores and cafes. Over the years, Ava's star just kept rising. She became that glittering, untouchable celebrity on the stage. I fidgeted my way through work until 6 o'clock, only for my boss to suddenly announce, "All right, everyone, conference room. Quick meeting." At 6:30, a text from Ava came in. "Almost here." I had no choice but to reply, "So sorry. Got pulled into a last-minute meeting. Can we reschedule?" She replied instantly, "It's okay. I'll wait." I felt terrible, stuck in that pointless meeting for another hour and a half. Before I left, I spent way too long staring at myself in the bathroom mirror. At 25, I was a world away from the boy I was at 18. I'd learned how to style my hair, how to dress. The bowl cut was replaced by a modern, textured crop. Years of working out meant clothes actually fit me well. The insecurity and shyness of my youth had slowly faded with time and experience. Despite all that, when I finally saw Ava in person, a strange wave of nerves washed over me. The vast restaurant was empty except for her. Even though I saw her on screens all the time, seeing her in the flesh after so long was a strange mix of familiarity and distance. She wore a chic, off-the-shoulder top and a fringed skirt that was both elegant and alluring. Her collarbones were perfectly defined, and her eyes were deep and luminous. The girlish shyness was gone, replaced by a sophisticated charm, though the faint dimples at the corners of her mouth still held a touch of sweetness. "Hey, Ava. Long time no see," I managed, feeling a little clumsy. She looked me over, a flicker of surprise in her eyes, before smiling. "You've changed a lot." "For the better," I added, the nerves making me sound like an idiot. "You look great, too," I stammered back. "Your wife won't be mad you're out to dinner with me alone?" she asked with a playful arch of her eyebrow. "No, no wife," I answered awkwardly. "Girlfriend, then?" Her gaze was searching, hopeful. No girlfriend, either. I felt like a total loser, a triple threat of single, broke, and boring. I had to add, "Work's been too crazy for dating." "Funny, me too," she said, her eyes twinkling. "What are you having?" "Anything's fine. How about the steak? It's supposed to be amazing here." "Sounds good." The atmosphere was a little stiff, especially in a restaurant so empty it echoed. The tension only broke when the waiter placed a massive porterhouse steak in front of me, while Ava received a small bowl of vegetable salad. "You're not eating?" I asked, surprised. "Can't eat dinner. I'll gain weight. The camera adds 10 pounds, she explained with a pout. "Honestly, you're already really thin. It can't be good for you," I said, trying to be comforting. Ava tilted her head. "You don't think I'm too thin, do you?" My eyes darted downward for a split second before I caught myself. When I saw that she'd noticed where I was looking, my face flushed crimson. No, it's a good look. Healthy. You couldn't really tell on camera, but up close, Ava was definitely not lacking in curves. Besides, Liam, I'm in great shape. Ava added a new layer of meaning in her voice. That completely threw me for a loop. I just mean, crash dieting is bad for your body. I scrambled to clarify. She looked at me, a faint blush on her cheeks, and then said, "Cut me a piece of your steak, then." My knife and fork froze midair. I was baffled. For some reason, I complied, cutting a small piece and holding it out. She leaned forward and ate it right off my fork. 1,000 questions flooded my brain. Why didn't she just order her own? It's not like she couldn't afford it. Or did she go broke after sending me all that money? No way. A single one of her red carpet dresses probably costs more than my apartment. I pushed my confusion aside and steered the conversation back on track. About the money. Ava, I can't accept it. She slowly poked at the greens in her bowl. It was a payment. We had a deal, remember? That was a joke. I never took it seriously, I explained. Well, I did, she said, looking up and meeting my eyes. You earned it. You were my first angel investor. But I really can't take this money. Ava seemed determined to change the subject. She looked at me intently. So what do you do for work now? I'm a photographer, I said, caught off guard by the sudden shift. I followed up with the dumbest question imaginable. What about you? She burst out laughing. A singer. The silence that followed was heavy. I tried to recover. So, do you guys get like a 401k in health insurance? She fought back a smile, her lips curving as she looked at me. She answered seriously. No 401k, no weekends off, and no overtime pay. Wow, being a celebrity sounds tough. You have no idea. Another awkward pause. I was a master of killing conversations. Actually, I'm kind of a fan, I offered, trying to salvage the mood. Oh, really? A faint smile played on her lips. How come I've never seen you at one of my concerts? Your tickets are expensive, I answered honestly. And not just expensive, they're impossible to get. Next time I have a show, you're my guest, she said, her eyes fixed on me. In that case, can I get your autograph? I suddenly remembered Chris's request and pulled a photo and a marker from my bag. Of course. Ava took them and signed her name with a flourish. Can you add a little message? Sure, what should it say? Ava asked with a casual smile. I hesitated, then mumbled, could you write, to my husband Chris, stay handsome? Ava's smile froze on her face. Her expression darkened. Who's Chris? My best friend. No, isn't that what male fans do? Call their favorite female celebs their wife? I explained, forcing myself to push on. Ava's eyes flickered with a hint of amusement. But, don't get the wrong idea, I don't call you that. I quickly clarified. Why not, she pressed. I'm just an admirer. From a professional standpoint, I said, feeling my toes curl with embarrassment inside my shoes. She let out a few soft laughs, then looked up at me. So which celebrity do you have a crush on? Ryan Reynolds. Think you could give me his autograph? I blurted out. Ryan Reynolds was huge, handsome, hilarious, a total movie star. I'd seen all his films. Ava's face seemed to fall even further. Is that a no? I heard you two were pretty friendly. He's married, she replied curtly. All right. Okay. Never mind then. Liam, is there anyone you like right now? She asked suddenly. I paused, thought about it, and answered honestly, yeah. Ava's eyes lit up with a hopeful sparkle, as if she was expecting something. I forged ahead. It's Sydney Sweeney. Any chance you could get her autograph for me? Sydney Sweeney was everywhere, sweet, stunning, the it girl of the moment. More importantly, she and Ava were well-known best friends in the industry. The tabloids loved comparing them. Is that a no? I heard you two were really close. Sure. What should it say? She asked, the words practically ground out between her teeth. How about to my husband Liam? You're the best. I looked at her expectant face, which had turned stormy again. No, why not? I thought you guys were best friends. I probed carefully. We're on the outs right now, she huffed. Since when? I just saw you two on a talk show last week. You seem super close. My inner gossip hound was roaring to life. Liam, I thought you said you were my fan. So what's this about Sydney Sweeney? I didn't take you for such a player. How is that being a player? I can scroll through TikTok for an hour and fall in love with 80 different girls. In the end, the whole dinner was a masterclass in awkwardness. And yet, as we were leaving, Ava said, I had a really nice time talking with you today, Liam. Glad you had fun. Finally, I couldn't hold it in any longer and brought up the money again. Ava, seriously, You don't have to pay me back this much. This dinner was expensive. Let's just call it even. Give me your account info, and I'll send the money back. My accounts are kind of tied up right now. Why don't you just hold on to it for me? Ava said dismissively. I did the math. The interest on over $5 million for a single day was more than my monthly salary. The wealth gap was soul-crushing. That's a lot of money. The interest alone is substantial. Maybe I can put it in a savings account for you. Fine. Ava pulled out her phone and wiggled it at me. Aren't you going to add me on iMessage? I added Ava Vance on iMessage. It felt completely surreal. But one look at the very real string of zeros in my bank account brought me crashing back to earth. I went to the bank and opened a new account for the money. As a new customer gift, they gave me 2 branded tote bags. The next day, while slacking off at work, I got a message from Ava. Hey, Liam, can you help me touch up some photos? Sure. She then sent me an entire gallery of photos from a recent shoot. In some, she was wearing very little. In others, she was posed artfully, half hidden. I opened them at my desk, and my face immediately went hot. Whoa, is that Ava Vance? Liam, where did you get such high-res shots? My coworker exclaimed, his eyes glued to my screen. That body, those curves. Damn, I'm drooling over here. I looked at the picture on my screen. Ava, draped loosely in a beige shawl over a simple white top. Her head was tilted back slightly, her expression both innocent and alluring. Paired with her incredible figure, the photo radiated an almost overwhelming magnetism. My impression of Ava had always been frozen at 18, the pure, sweet girl from high school. Now, the face was the same, but the aura was completely different. Get a grip, Foster. I bit my lip and closed the window. What do you think? Another iMessage from Ava popped up. They're great. I typed, touching my hot cheek. Then I brought up the money again. Hey, so I put the money in a high-yield savings account. Let me know when you can take it back, and I'll transfer it. Then, for some reason, I added, they gave me 2 free tote bags for opening the account. Do you want them? Yes. Can you bring them over? I was just being polite. Why would an A-list celebrity care about 2 cheap bank tote bags? And that's how I ended up lugging 2 flimsy tote bags to an address in the city's most exclusive residential high-rise, making a home delivery to Ava Vance. There might be paparazzi outside, so thanks for doing this, Liam, she said, taking the bags from me and motioning for me to come in. I glanced around her apartment. It wasn't the mega mansion I'd seen on celebrity home tours. It was clean and simple, but lacked a lived-in feel, almost like a model unit. Is it weird? She asked, noticing my curiosity. No, I just figured celebrities lived in like 5,000 square foot penthouses. I explained. What would one person do in a house that big? It'd be so empty. Maybe if I get married, I'll think about something bigger. She was wearing a cozy-looking cream-colored sweatsuit, her long hair loose around her shoulders. She looked less like a superstar and more like the girl next door. This place isn't small. It's a 3-bedroom. Plenty of space for a married couple. I immediately regretted saying it. She was a top-tier celebrity. I couldn't judge her by normal standards. I shook off the awkwardness and waved a hand toward the door. Well, I dropped off the stuff, so I should probably get going. See ya. But Ava leaned against the doorframe, her arms crossed, and tilted her chin at me. You came all this way. Might as well stay for dinner. That classic line. You came all this way. Fine. I'll stay. What I didn't expect was that Ava actually knew how to cook. She whipped up a few simple, home-style dishes with an ease that suggested she did it often. What's so strange? I live alone. I have to take care of myself, she said, a hint of a pout in her voice. Don't you guys have, like, personal assistants and chefs for that? I don't like people in my space. Okay, I was officially terrible at conversation. Or maybe the gap between our lives was just too wide to bridge. Every topic I started sputtered out like a faulty engine. Thankfully, a call from my mom saved me. Liam, your Aunt Carol set you up with someone. She's a civil servant, really sweet and stable. You're meeting her this Sunday. My mom's voice blasted through the phone. Mom, I'm busy. Can we talk later? I hissed, covering the phone's mouthpiece. No, you have to go this Sunday. It's at the Garden Bistro, right near your office. I know. I hung up frantically and forced a smile at Ava. My mom. She wanted me to go on a blind date. Ava's eyes fell. She silently placed a piece of braised pork in my bowl. Oh, she murmured, then stood up to get me a bowl of soup. Liam, What do you look for in a partner? No real requirements. Just a good person, I said, taking a sip of the soup. It was surprisingly delicious. So what do you think of me? Ava asked nonchalantly, picking at her own food. Without thinking, I answered, "You're great." And then, just as casually, she asked, "So, you want to give us a try?" By the time my brain processed what she'd said, I had a mouthful of soup that went down the wrong pipe. I broke into a fit of shocked coughing. What did you say?" Ava stared at me, a slight smile playing on her lips, and repeated with perfect seriousness. I said, "Liam Foster, do you want to try dating?" My mind went completely blank. I just stared, my expression frozen. Time seemed to stop for a few seconds. I took a deep breath and let out a nervous laugh. "Haha, you're kidding, right?" "Liam, do I look like I'm kidding?" She was still looking at me, her gaze so earnest it was impossible to doubt. "We're not even from the same world. What, are you from Mars? You're too rich and too famous. And that's my fault. Being rich and famous is a flaw now." She threw her hands up in mock exasperation. I was even more exasperated. I'd never even been in a real relationship. I had zero experience with this kind of situation. After a long pause, I finally managed to stammer, "Why? Me? You must have tons of amazing guys around you. All those handsome actors in Hollywood. Besides, the tabloids had linked her to at least half a dozen different co-stars over the years." She peeled a large shrimp, dropped in my bowl, and said, "Because you're willing to spend money on me." Of all the possible answers, that was the last one I expected. 7 years ago, you gave me all the money you had. 7 years later, you did it again. Ava laid out her reasoning as if it were a legal argument. "I don't know much about love, but I know that a man who is willing to give you everything he has must really care about you." She wasn't wrong. I did have a secret crush on her 7 years ago. But as she became more famous and the number of her admirers grew into the millions, my little crush got buried deep down. As for giving her the money, it was just a gut reaction, an instinct to help someone I cared about. "Ava, we're just old classmates. I really wasn't thinking about any of that, and we don't even know each other that well." I explained weakly. "Don't know each other that well?" Ava suddenly stood up and leaned toward me, a hint of annoyance in her voice. "Liam Foster, you have a terrible memory." She pointed to the faint scar on my brow. "You got that scar for me, and you're going to tell me we don't know each other that well?" I panicked, unsure what to say. I got that scar in a fight in high school. It was the first and only real fight of my life. I got into it with another guy in the dorms. He ended up with a cracked rib, and I got 3 stitches above my eye. The reason? He was watching some trashy, low-budget movie in the dorm lounge and loudly announced that the lead actress looked like Ava, followed by a string of disgusting comments. I lost my temper and decked him. The school administration hushed the whole thing up to avoid a scandal, so I have no idea how she ever found out about it. A small smile played on Ava's lips, her eyes sparkling. She looked away for a second, as if thinking, then looked back at me. "And what about the time a certain someone got sent out of class with me? I was crying my eyes out like an idiot, and who was it that stayed right there with me?" I remembered that day perfectly. It was one of the few times I ever got to be alone with her. Our math teacher was a notoriously grumpy man going through a midlife crisis. No one ever dared to step out of line in his class. But one day he was handing back tests, and Ava had forgotten hers at home. He immediately accused her of doing it on purpose and sent her to stand in the hallway. Then he bellowed at the class, "Anyone else who didn't bring their test, get out and join her." And in the dead silence, I slowly stood up and walked out of the classroom. It was her first time being punished like that. She stood in the hall, crying softly, her shoulders shaking. "Hey, is it really that big a deal?" I tried to joke. She ignored me, just kept her head down and cried. Seeing her red nose and tear-streaked face did something strange to my heart. I pulled a few pieces of chocolate from my pocket, the ones she'd given me, and held them out. "Here, have some candy." Thinking about it now, my heart still skips a beat. And you know what I found later? Ava continued, a sly grin spreading across her face. "I found your test in your desk. You had it with you the whole time." Her smile turned triumphant. "Liam, you came out there to keep me company, didn't you?" I was stunned, my long-buried secret exposed. "So, do we really not know each other that well?" she asked, lifting her head, her bright eyes locking onto mine. I was lost in them. "We know each other pretty well, I'd say," she concluded. "And since neither of us is seeing anyone, We might as well just make do with each other and try dating. My face went hot. I stood there, dumbfounded, and after a few seconds of stunned silence, the words just fell out of my mouth. Deal. What have I got to lose? It's not every day you get to date a celebrity. Ava burst out laughing and reached out to gently ruffle my hair. Goof. And just like that, in the strangest turn of events, I had showed up with 2 tote bags and left with a girlfriend. As she drove me home, her hand resting on the console next to mine, the entire ride felt like a dream. Back home, I tossed and turned in bed, unable to sleep. I finally texted Chris. Dude, I have a girlfriend. He replied instantly. I have several wives. Every hot actress in Hollywood is my wife. Your old classmate Ava, she's the original. Another message followed. Wait, hold on. You're not two-timing me, are you? Spill. Who is it? Your original wife. The other end went silent for a full minute. Then a voice memo, practically shouting, came through. Holy SD, you guys are actually together? How? I don't even know what to do. My head is still spinning. What do you mean, what to do? It's AVA Vance. Chris was more excited than I was. Bro, how is she as a kisser? What's her body like? We're not at that stage yet. Then get there. Go for it. I can't believe I'm living to see the day my best friend is dating my dream girl. I think Chris might have lost his mind a little. From that day on, he began a daily ritual of texting me the same question, without fail. Did Liam Foster get with Ava Vance today? No. It wasn't that I wasn't trying. It was that there was no opportunity. The day after we officially became a couple, Ava flew to another state for a shoot. We were instantly in a long-distance relationship. Her schedule was insane. Sometimes I'd send a text and wouldn't get a reply for hours. But she'd call me during her breaks, her voice soft and sweet, murmuring things that left my head spinning. She'd randomly order food delivery for me and send me packages with all sorts of expensive gifts that she'd get annoyed about if I tried to refuse. I'd hold my phone, staring at her name on the screen, and none of it felt real. Was this what dating was supposed to be like? During some downtime, I started searching for news about Ava online. A tabloid headline jumped out at me. Hashtag Ava Vance and Dylan Croft. An unmistakable spark. The accompanying photo was a candid shot from her new show. In it, Dylan Croft, a rising heartthrob, was talking while Ava looked at him, a huge smile on her face. The comments section was a dumpster fire of speculation, with everyone saying, the way Ava looks at Dylan gives me butterflies. Fans have been shipping Ava and Dylan for months. The more I looked at the picture, the more it stung. I opened iMessage and sent Ava a simple text. When are you coming back? She didn't reply for a long time. When you're feeling insecure, your mind starts to run wild. I started scrolling through her old social media posts, analyzing every word like it was a complex legal document, imagining her flirting with some new hotshot actor. All the strange things she'd said that night started to make a different kind of sense. Maybe she had liked me back then, but after thinking it over, so what? We were 18, we had nothing, we knew nothing. Who holds on to a high school crush forever? Especially someone like her. As Chris would say, she was the dream girl of millions. She'd seen the world, met countless handsome and successful men. Why would she still be hung up on an ordinary guy like me? Maybe the whole thing was just a game to her, a novelty. The chance to try on a normal relationship for a little while. The idea that it could actually last. Even I didn't believe that. Once your thoughts get stuck in that kind of loop, you just torture yourself. I rummaged through my closet and found our old yearbook. There was 18-year-old Ava in a class photo, standing one row in front of me, her smile bright and infectious. I remembered how I used to instinctively look down whenever we passed in the hallways. Maybe when you really like someone, you can't help but feel small. I did then, and I still did now. Unable to help myself, I posted an Instagram story. So in the end, we don't even have a single photo together. The person who defined my entire youth never even looked back. A few minutes later, after I'd calmed down, I deleted it. It was just a moment of self-pity. No one really cares about your emo moments anyway. I opened my phone and scrolled through some funny TikToks Chris had sent me. My mood instantly improved. Liam, 6 o'clock tonight, the Garden Bistro. Don't forget, Brenda is waiting for you. A text from my mom popped up, reminding me about the blind date. I'd completely forgotten about it. Mom, I don't want to go. You have to. It's all arranged. She's a civil servant, 27, 5'7", sweet and stable. She's a great catch. This is a golden opportunity. Don't you dare miss it. I gritted my teeth. Fine. If she could be all smiles with some other guy, why couldn't I have a candlelit dinner with some other woman? It turned out my mom's definition of great catch involved some very generous creative license. This Brenda, let's see, her height might have been 5'7" if she jumped. At 27, she had less hair than my mother, and as for stable, her weight was probably pushing 200 pounds. To top it all off, she was wearing a skin-tight dress, and when she sat down, she looked like the Michelin Man. To make things even more awkward, she tried to use a Groupon for the restaurant, found out it wasn't valid on holidays, and proceeded to get into a loud argument with the manager. Ms. Song, maybe we should just let it go. I pleaded, trying to intervene. She turned to me and said, with righteous indignation, I am a very reasonable person, but for you, I'll make an exception today. Liam, I have a good impression of you. You're much cuter in person, and even though you don't have a government job, I don't mind. Why don't we give it a shot? If it works out, we can get married. The world is full of strange people. I dropped enough cash on the table to cover my half of the meal, stood up, and said, You're great. I'm not worthy. And I walked out. To my horror, she actually chased after me, grabbing my arm and causing a scene. Liam, a crisp, slightly lazy voice called my name, drawing out the vowel. I looked up and saw Ava, leaning against a sleek black sports car, wearing a wide-brimmed sun hat and waving at me. Get over here, she commanded, her tone impatient. I felt a pang of guilt, but then I remembered she was the one who started this. What did I have to be guilty about? I slowly shuffled over to her. She looked up, her eyes full of a kind of wounded accusation. What are you doing? I pursed my lips and answered honestly. A blind date. She let out a cold, sharp laugh and reached up to pinch my cheek. Liam, you're making things very difficult for me, she murmured, and then, standing on her toes, she kissed me. I panicked. She wasn't even wearing a mask. What if someone recognized her? I gently pushed her away. Ava, people are watching. My blind date was standing nearby, her jaw on the floor. You have a girlfriend who looks like a movie star, and you're on a blind date with me? Defeated, I blushed, half dragging, half carrying Ava into the car. That single moment had probably taken 5 years off my life. Ava sat in the passenger seat, her face grim, her arms crossed. She leaned against me, her beautiful, angry eyes still fixed on my face. What does she have that I don't? I was hurt and a little angry myself. After a moment, I squeezed out the words, she has a pension. Ava was so mad, she was speechless for a second. Then she scoffed, she looks old enough to be your mother. Older women are more caring. I retorted, not backing down. Are you saying I don't care about you? Her voice dropped, turning icy. She started the car, the engine rumbling ominously. A knot of fear formed in my stomach. What are you doing? Finding a new place. So I can take really good care of you, she said, her voice dangerously cool. That's not what I meant. Then what did you mean? You have a girlfriend and you're out on blind dates. There was a flash of genuine hurt in her eyes. You were the one flirting with another guy first. I finally burst, pulling up the tabloid picture on my phone and showing it to her. She pulled the car over under a dim streetlight. She looked at the photo, and then, to my complete astonishment, she started to laugh. She reached out and took my hand. Are you jealous? She asked, her voice now a warm, teasing whisper that brushed against my ear, sending a shiver down my spine. My anger melted away. Liam, from now on, if you have a question, just ask me. Don't invent stories in your head. She then opened her phone and showed me a video. It was behind-the-scenes footage from the show. I could clearly see that right next to Dylan Croft, several crew members were setting up a catering station with a large pot of food. Ava explained that they had been filming for hours and were starving. She wasn't looking at Dylan. She was staring at the pot of food, practically drooling. After hearing her explanation, I couldn't help but laugh. I barely know Dylan outside of work. A lot of that stuff is just the studio's PR team trying to create buzz. It was the same with the other guys before. Ava explained patiently. Then she gave me a playful nudge. Just like how we lost touch 7 years ago. After I won the show, I cluelessly signed a contract with a management company. I didn't know anything. The contract said I couldn't date for 7 years to maintain a single image. So I never reached out. And you really didn't contact me once either. I looked down, feeling a little ashamed. She laughed softly and leaned into me, looking up at my face. All right, what other questions are bouncing around in that thick skull of yours? Why? Why did you save my contact as Goof? She gave me a fond, exasperated look. Let me ask you a question. Why did the whole class start hooting every time I went to your desk to get your homework? And why did people snicker whenever the teacher said both of our names in the same sentence? I'm asking you. Ava sighed and reached up, gently stroking my cheek. The entire world knew I liked you. You were the only Goof who didn't. She looked at me, her eyes shining like they were full of starlight, and finally said the words that had been left unsaid for years. Liam Foster, I'm in love with you. My emotional processing speed must be measured in light years. By the time I came back to myself, I couldn't tell if the wetness on my cheeks was tears or just the product of a ridiculously wide smile. I choked out a reply. Me too. It was real. Our entire youth had been a secret, two-sided crush. That night, Ava rented out an entire amusement park. She said she wanted to do all the things couples do on dates, all in one night. As the fireworks exploded in the sky, her eyes reflected the brilliant colors, sparkling as she looked at me. You know, Liam, she said with a hint of a complaint, if you had just been like all those other guys in high school and given me a love letter, we would have been together years ago. She leaned in closer, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. And for the record, I don't even like chocolate. I only pretended to so I'd have an excuse to give it to a certain Goof who I knew loved it. After graduation, my parents refused to support my dream of being a musician. They cut me off completely. Back then, I told myself, if Liam is willing to lend me the money, I will come back and marry him one day. Those first few years were so hard. Juggling school, training, and all the fake PR relationships the company forced on me. The industry is full of smoke and mirrors. Sometimes I really regretted my choice. But in the end, I'm glad I stuck with it. Because if it wasn't for your $520, there would be no Ava Vance today. She told me so much that night. I finally understood everything she'd been feeling for all these years, and it made me even more certain of my own feelings. From that day on, I never felt insecure again. She was a public figure, so we couldn't go on dates or post couple photos like normal people. Our relationship remained a secret, known only to my loudmouthed best friend, Chris. My parents were the first to suspect something was up. I was home for a holiday and spent the entire time glued to my phone, a dopey grin plastered on my face. My dad finally couldn't take it anymore. He squinted at me. What are you grinning at like an idiot? Is there gold in that phone? I decided to test the waters. Dad, Mom, I'm seeing someone. What does she do? Does she have a pension? My parents were products of a different generation, obsessed with the idea of a stable, iron rice bowl job. My dad was a mid-level manager in a government office and always hoped I'd find someone with a similar, respectable background. She's a singer. Absolutely not. My dad's face immediately fell. That's not a real job. How is singing going to help you? No. A lot of people listen to her music. She's at sold-out concerts. So what? That girl from down the street sings too. She performs at weddings and funerals all over the county, dressed like a train wreck. Can't even find a husband. It's not like that. She's really beautiful too. Beauty doesn't pay the bills. Girls like that just prey on naive young guys like you. Does she sing flowers into existence? You find someone with no job. How are you supposed to support a family on your own? I never thought I would live to see the day that Ava Vance, the dream girl of millions, would be so thoroughly dismissed by my own father. During the break, I was lounging at home, scrolling through TikTok while Ava was working overtime filming her show. I was enjoying the rare downtime. Miss me? Ava's gentle voice suddenly came through my phone. Yes, of course. Then come down. I'm outside your house. I sprinted downstairs in my pajamas, my hair a mess. Cute, she said, smiling at me. She was wearing the pink shirt dress from her show. I pulled her into a hug. Liam, if you miss me, you have to be more proactive, she said with a mischievous grin, pointing to her lips. Blushing, I leaned in slowly, intending to give her a quick, chaste kiss. But she had other ideas, taking control and deepening the kiss until the world started to spin. Just as things were getting heated, a blood-curdling shriek shattered the romantic mood. Stop that. I whipped my head around. Oh God, it was my mom. And even worse, my dad was marching toward us, his face a thundercloud. "You two, get upstairs. Now." He ground out each word threat. 21, Ava and I stood in the living room like two teenagers caught making out, our heads bowed in shame. "Hello, sir. My name is Ava Vance. I was a high school classmate of Liam's," Ava said, breaking the silence. My dad shot her a sideways glance and snorted. "You certainly look the part." He paused. "But we can't accept you. You don't have a stable career. And let me tell you," my dad continued, his eyes darting around as he calculated. He held up 2 fingers. "We have standards. We expect a dowry. $20,000. His expression made it perfectly clear he was trying to scare her off. "Sir, we're dating with the intention of getting married. As for money, I don't need anything from Liam. I've already given him the money we'll need for our wedding and our future," Ava replied politely, a calm smile on her face. "What? Given him? What did you give him?" my dad barked. $5.2 million. "Huh?" My dad laughed as if he'd just heard the funniest joke in the world. $5.2 million? I don't have that many chips in my poker app." "Dad, it's true," I mumbled, pulling out my phone and showing him a video of Ava from the news. "See, doesn't she look familiar?" My dad took the phone suspiciously, comparing the video to the real-life Ava standing in front of him. He scratched his head, then handed the phone to my mom. She peered at it for a long time before slapping her thigh. "It's her. It's really her, son. You're actually dating a huge star." After the chaos subsided, my dad, having recovered from the shock, spoke again, his tone still firm. "I still don't approve. We're not after your money, but the gap between you two is just too big. Your world, that entertainment industry, it's a mess. My son is a simple guy. If he's with you, he'll always feel like he's not good enough." Ava squeezed my hand tightly and replied with quiet dignity, "Sir, I have been in love with Liam for many years, and he feels the same. This isn't an impulse. We want to build a life together. I've saved some money over the years, and after we get married, I plan to support him in starting his own photography business, something he's passionate about. Please, trust that I will take good care of him." My dad didn't say anything more. As I walked Ava downstairs, I finally had to ask, You really want to get married?" She looked at me as if the answer was obvious. "What do you think? Are you planning on not making an honest woman out of me?" I was at a loss for words. But when I thought about it, she was at the peak of her career and idol to millions. If she got married now, would they have to hide it? I couldn't bring myself to ask the follow-up questions. Instead, I silently slipped the diamond ring I'd been clutching in my hand, the one I was planning to propose with, back in my pocket. But it was as if she'd read my mind. She smiled, leaned her head on my shoulder, and said, "Just leave it to me." She pulled a card from her pocket and pressed it into my hand. "A promise is a promise. I'm inviting you to my concert, Liam." I looked down. It was a ticket to her upcoming stadium tour. I knew she'd been working on a new album that everyone was dying to hear. I'd asked her what the songs were about, but she'd always been mysteriously tight-lipped. 22 on the day the album was released, I saw the trending topic. Hashtag Ava Vance album for Liam. That morning, she posted on her Instagram, "Who said we never had a photo together?" I was looking back, even when you couldn't see me. The picture was a selfie of her in her high school uniform, flashing a peace sign. And in the background, out of focus, was the back of a boy in the same uniform, me. She also sent me a private message. "Liam, our meeting was never coincidence. It was me, scheming to run into you every single day." I stared at the picture of 18-year-old Ava and 18-year-old Liam, and I started to laugh until tears streamed down my face. My secret love had been answered all along. Ava's concert was held at the city's largest stadium, in front of 100,000 people. The energy was electric, a roaring sea of screams and cheers. I sat in the front row, smiling as she performed song after song. Her last song was the title track from the new album, For Liam. When she finished, she stood in the center of the stage, bathed in a single spotlight, glittering. She took a deep breath and spoke into the microphone. "Thank you all for coming to my concert tonight." The stadium erupted in a deafening roar. "This song," she said, her eyes finding mine in the crowd, her gaze full of a soft, tangled tenderness, "is for my boyfriend. A long time ago, he loaned me $520 so I could get on a bus to an audition. That loan is the reason I'm standing here today. I've spent 7 years in this industry, and I'm so grateful that you've all loved my music. But tonight, This is my last concert. I am officially announcing my retirement from the entertainment industry. The stadium fell into a stunned, chaotic silence. No one could understand why Ava Vance would choose to quit at the absolute height of her fame. She refused all media interviews, grabbed my hand backstage, and pulled me straight out of service exit. My mind was still reeling from her announcement, not even paying attention to where she was leading me. Ava, why? Lots of reasons, she said, still running. For one, I don't want my passion to become a job. I don't want to skip dinner for the rest of my life. I'm tired of having every word I say and every person I'm with be scrutinized and twisted. And most of all, I don't want my boyfriend to have to sneak into my apartment every time he wants to see me. I want us to be like a normal couple. I want to go out to dinner with you, go on dates, travel, and do whatever we want. She pulled me along, running until we were both out of breath and had to stop in a familiar place. 23-inch, remember this place, Liam? She had brought me back to our old high school, to the path along the edge of the athletic fields. This was the path where I used to casually run into her every day. It was the same spot where, on graduation day, she'd changed her name in my phone to the most beautiful Ava Vance in the world. Every time I saw her here, I would look down, too shy to meet her eyes. But I was here every day at 7 o'clock, waiting for her to appear at the end of the path around 7:10. I had waited for her for years. Me looking down, her looking back. I looked at her now, standing in front of me, and finally dropped to one knee, pulling the ring I had been carrying from my pocket. 7 years, Ava. For 7 years, I thought I had lost my chance with you forever. But the moment you came back into my life, I made a promise to myself that I would win my girl back, that I would marry you. Ava, will you marry me? She smiled, her eyes brimming with tears, and then she started to cry like a happy child. You goof, she sobbed. Yes. I slid the ring onto her finger, my own smile wider than I thought possible. Just then, the school's old PA system crackled to life, and her song, For Liam, began to play. The final lyrics echoed clearly in the evening air. You were the one my youth could not forget, and I was the echo of the love you never said.